Grinch. Jim Carrey is the Grinch.
Yeah, I don't think I really need to tell you what the story is of this movie. I mean, it's pretty much what you think it is. It's a story about the Grinch, played by Jim Carrey, who is a nasty creature that hates Christmas and plots to steal it away from the Who's, who love it so much. And they add new elements to it this time around by making Cindy Lou Who more of a character in this one. Like, she's a little bit older than she was in the animated short and in the book. She wants to know what Christmas is all about and why the Grinch hates it so much. And it's part of the many things that they add to this movie. So, like I said, this was directed by Ron Howard, produced by him and Brian Grazer. And it was a big success when it came out. It was the #1 movie at the box office for the majority of the Christmas 2000 season, grossing over $345 million worldwide. It won the Oscar for Best Makeup, which, I mean, come on. I mean, even if you didn't like the movie, the makeup in this movie is kind of pretty awesome, especially on the Grinch. But was also nominated for art decoration and costume design. So with all that in the record books, people often choose the animated special over the movie. And honestly, what can I say about that? I mean, that's the original animated one. The '66 one is still the definitive version of the Grinch, no matter what happens here. But does that mean this one's an all-around mess, or as bad as everyone makes it out to be? Let's take a look at it as a whole first, before we can really delve into my overall final thoughts on the film. Let's look at the positives first. The city of Whoville looks pretty cool. It's very reminiscent of the book and the animated special, and even Mount Whoville's looks are impressively similar to the book and the cartoon. You can definitely tell the filmmakers wanted to make something that looks as close to the Seuss book as they could, and I thought they did a pretty good job with it. Second, when the film follows the story and doesn't focus on the newer additions to the plot, it does its job pretty well. It pays a good homage to the original story. There are some new additions that I did think kind of work. I liked the fact that we found out the real reason why the Grinch hated Christmas so much in the Who's. It's because the Who's made fun of him, and he basically just swore him off after a really bad experience around Christmas time. And then there are other new additions that are really bad, but we'll get to those later on. Lastly, I think Jim Carrey's perfectly cast as the Grinch. He just fits that role well, acting-wise, and in the way the character looks. You could easily see why the Oscar for Best Makeup went to him that year, because that guy had that on for so many hours a day, had to put it on for a number of hours beforehand, and like, for anybody to go through that, I mean, you have to give those people credit for making that work, and especially Jim Carrey, for making that work as well as it could be. I mean, better than the casting of people that they were going to get for this. Like, literally, they were going to get Jack Nicholson and Eddie Murphy for the role of the Grinch, which, yeah, that would have been very, very, wouldn't have been great. Would not have been great indeed. I think Anthony Hopkins' narration also is a nice touch added to here, and I do like Taylor Momsen as Cindy Lou Who. I think it's a nice addition to her, having her more of a role in this, as she's the only Who character you end up really giving a crap about, which brings me to a lot of the negative points of the film, and trust me, there is a lot of them. It starts with the fact that the good majority of the Who's are way too meaner than they should be. I mean, in the original short and books, the Who's love Christmas as a time for family and friends to be there, but here, they just look at Christmas as a time to give presents, win lining contests, and everything against the true meaning of Christmas. I mean, they have to add to this expanded story. I get it, but there are better ways you could have kept the spirit of the original book and the cartoon than this. I mean, I think that's something that the Illumination film did a lot better, which I'll talk about that towards the end here. But in addition, as great as the makeup is, the Who's look really weird. Like, the noses they put on them are just really pointless. The Who's look like normal people except for their hairstyles. I mean, was there a purpose for this change? Because I certainly don't see it. A lot of the newer things they add to the movie are completely pointless, but the one segment that I absolutely despise, I think it's the most pointless segment in the whole movie, it's the Whobilation sequence. It's an entire 30-minute sequence, a half an hour where they have this huge celebration. Cindy Lou invites the Grinch down to the party, and he accepts, and it looks like he finally has a reason to be happy until the mayor who bullied the Grinch as a child proposes to Martha May, played by Christine Baranski, who the Grinch had a crush on as a kid, and thus causes the Grinch to cause havoc around the town and go back to the way it was before the party, thus creating the ultimate waste of time I have ever seen in a movie. Like, literally, nothing changes between the start of that segment to the end, and it has absolutely no purpose to the story, and you could have taken it out, so you wouldn't have 30 extra minutes that are completely pointless. It's the ultimate waste of time, and one of the reasons why the movie plays for 2.5 hours on TV stations during the holidays, it serves no purpose to the story. You really could have just gotten rid of that whole sequence. Nobody would have noticed anything. It's one of the stupidest sequences that the film felt like it needed to have, and shouldn't have been added to the film whatsoever. I mean, it's just, like, again, the Illumination one did it better because it didn't have to add that long segment of pointlessness. Like, there's a jubilation scene in that movie, but it's very short and sweet. Kind of gets to the point of what they're trying to establish here and just moves on. And, like, it's a span of like 5-10 minutes maybe. But this is completely ridiculous. And yeah, this movie has a ton of flaws to it. But in terms of the other Dr. Seuss adaptations that have been released, like, you know, Cat in the Hat and then Horton Hears a Who and the Lorax, this is still the second best of the four, next to Horton Hears a Who. Actually, third best probably, because I go back and forth. Okay, it's kind of hard to go back and forth on which Grinch version I like, because, yeah, I like the Illumination Grinch a lot. I actually, for the longest time, thought it was their best overall film as a studio. But, like, the more I think about it, yeah, I would say the animated 2018 Grinch movie was better. That was probably the best movie of the Dr. Seuss films that we've had in the 21st century. But, again, nothing ever tops the original film, like the original short. Like, nothing will ever top that. The 2018 Grinch is probably the best one we've gotten since then, and this would probably be in third. But then again, I would rather take the Benedict Cumberbatch one and this one over the Mike Myers Cat in the Hat, which is a horrible movie, and then Dr. Seuss's The Lorax, which is a hypocritical mess and in my top 30 least favorite movies of all time. But this would definitely be up there. I think there is a lot more to this that I actually really do admire about it. I like the music by James Horner. I just watched it again during the holiday season. The scenes, there are visually impressive scenes to look at, and Carrey really does put all of his effort into it. I mean, it has warrant to it, but like I said, when it sticks to the original story, it's done very well. From casting Jim Carrey as the title character, the look of the film, some of the new additions they add do work, but more times than not, it doesn't work. Everything else kind of falls flat big time. It's a movie that you could have easily taken huge chunks out of, and you would have had a watchable movie, but it's one of those ones where it's just like, it's certainly not a bad, it's not a bad movie, but it's definitely not it's definitely not a good movie either. It's a very mixed bag of a film, and certainly a movie that I wouldn't say is one of the great Christmas movies, but if it's on TV every once in a year, I will pop it on. But like I said, I do like the 2018 Grinch one more, even though there are elements to that one I don't really like as much. Like, I think, comparing Grinches, I think Jim Carrey's Grinch is better than Benedict Cumberbatch's Grinch, because the Grinch in that one really is not a guy that really hates Christmas. He just hates people, and yet, despite that, he still is more than willing to go down to the town to go get groceries and interact with some people that he really doesn't like. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He's kind of an introvert in that case, but in terms of a story, it works better there, but here, like, I will say Jim Carrey's the better Grinch over Cumberbatch, but I thought it was alright. I think it's a good movie. Like, once every Christmas, it's fine to watch, but never anything afterwards.